There we go.
Excellent.
Is it going? Is it going?
Yeah, it looks
All
like
right.
it's going to me.
Hi, this is Justin in the edit. You may not recognize my voice because I'm being piloted by Liam. Some sort of Kermit situation. We regret to inform you that Roz has been murdered.
You've seized control of the radio station.
Yes, I've seized. Welcome to Radio Free Liam, baby.
we still have to do a sync point for Devin.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Okay, so way it works, one of us counts down 3, 2, 1, Mark. When you hear Mark, just clap or snap by your microphone, please.
Or say, that's me.
Yeah, or just scream. Just really like primal, like, yeah.
Okay, make a big loud peak.
Yeah,
yes, we have that.
Exactly.
All right. 3, 2, 1, Mark.
Perfect.
All right, we did it.
Okay, hang on.
I was early, but that's okay.
No, that's fine. I just gotta shut down my torrents real quick. Sorry.
It's just gonna be like ballpark, and it's all good.
Yeah,
enough to been
we
there,
just
want to
we want to avoid our skin being peeled off with flensing knives.
Anarchism is about seeding torrents, and the more torrents you seed, the more anarchist you are.
Mm-hmm.
I know for a fact you're not sassing me right now.
we do a bit of pirating around these parts.
Information wants to be free, dickhead.
Wait. Why? When people know things, that's like beneficial to society? What do you mean?
I'm gonna something boots bootmaker. I don't know anything about anarchism, right? Like in the same way, I don't know anything about the Kansas City Chiefs. Why would I learn about losers?
What happens in anarchism is you get crushed by the Soviets.
Yes. And then people get real mad at you for recording a podcast. People get real mad at me in the comments because they're like, "Why is Liam an anarchist recording with 2 communists?" And it's just like, because they're my pals.
Because we're friends. Yeah. Like we're friends.
We're not in the Spanish Civil War.
Oh, but we will be.
In Marvel's A24's Civil War 2, it might get into kind of a factional situation, and I'm okay with that.
So my favorite hypothetical thing to do with hypotheticals is to say like, Roz X, who you got? So it's just like, Roz Tom from 10,000 Losses, who you got? The answer is obviously Tom, by the way.
Well, of course, yeah.
Well, he's got the guns.
Kind of. Yeah. All due respect, Roz v. anyone is kind of the other guy, but
I disagree. I think there's people that Roz could take. Like if you went like Roz Timothy Chalamet, right? Like that's you're looking at a dead French Canadian right there.
How tall is Timothy Chalamet?
He's like wispy,
He's like 5'10". So Roz, you got like 2 inches.
I got 2 inches on him. Yeah, I could definitely beat up like Ben Shapiro.
Oh, you could Ben Shapiro.
Hell yeah!
I'm not gonna do that.
Oh, that's an actual threat against a named person.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
No, don't do that. Anyway, welcome to a special Italian episode of Well, There's Your Problem.
Buongiorno.
A podcast. Buongiorno. A podcast about engineering disasters with slides. I'm Justin Rosniak. I'm the person who's talking right now. My pronouns are he and him. Okay, go.
I was going to do a whole bit in Italian, then I realized I don't speak Italian. My name is November Kelly. I'm the person speaking now. My pronouns are she and her. Yay, Liam. Avanti, Liam.
She
Viva
speaks
Liam.
the third most Italian.
I don't speak Italian. Exactly. Bienvenue. Well, there's your problem. Je m'appelle Liam. My pronouns are he, him. Fuck me. We have a guest.
Arrivederci, in case we haven't gotten the Inglourious Bastards references out of the way. I'm Mark Hyce Huber. You probably know me as Hyce on the interwebs and YouTubes and the things, and perhaps as Mark at Studio 346. Figure it out. I'm the same person. What is a brand? Who knows? And my pronouns are he, him. Hi. Delighted to be on. Love your guys' pod.
Yeah, we're glad to have you on. This is going to be fun. Now what you see.
Do you want us to refer to you real quick as Mark or Hyce, or is there no preference?
Don't give a shit. Fun little aside. I was giving a brakeman training to new trainees, and our president of the museum at the time of the board couldn't get my attention. He was saying Mark or whatever, and he finally yells Hyce, and he's in his 40s. Like he's not a young, not like he watches my YouTube. And I was like, yeah, oh shit. So either is fine.
The kind of the we have people everywhere moment is it's striking.
Yeah, it's fine.
So what we have on the screen in front of us is a tunnel.
Is this a metaphor?
Nothing wrong with it. Looks fine.
Nothing wrong with the tunnel. Nothing particularly wrong with it. You'll be happy to know in this episode it is about trains, but there's no derailment, no fire, no bombing, barely any property damage, no nothing. And it still kills 520 people.
That's a lot of people to kill.
Jesus Christ. That's numbers on the board. And I'm looking at here like a functional tunnel. I'm looking at a hole. And
you're looking at a perfectly good hole, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was made for me.
With a body
tunnels
count.
with trains inside don't bode well sometimes. It's fine.
Today we're going to talk about the worst disaster in Italian railroad history, which is the Balvano disaster.
Everybody remember to be respectful of the great Italian people, nation, culture, etc., etc.
The gallant people of Italy.
we're gonna fuck up so bad on that.
Yeah. But before we talk about that, we have to do the goddamn news.
Must wait. I have a bit of more breaking news, which is that Garrett Cole, the Yankees ace, has to have Tommy John surgery, and he's out for 2025. Go Sox.
I mean, can this also be the fault of ending DEI initiatives?
Yeah,
possibly.
It stands for don't elbow injure.
They've got that on the wall of the doctor's office. It's just like, PSA, don't fucking do that to yourself, idiot.
Doctor, it hurts when I do this. Then don't do that.
Doctor, why is your fist inside my ass?
Well, I mean, listen. So DEI. The end of DEI has taken another victim here, as two boats have hit each other. Classic of the genre.
A Portuguese flagged container carrier, a small one, crashed into a tanker, an American flag tanker. I believe it's one of our few Jones Act compliant ones.
Yep.
Which was at anchor. Just slammed right into the side at full speed. The tanker exploded. A lot of damage to the container ship as well. A lot of injuries. I don't think anyone died. I think both these ships are write-offs.
Yeah, I think
the front fell off. 80,000 tons of oil fell into the sea, caught fire. It's a bit of a giveaway.
I think they're missing one crew member from the smaller Portuguese ship, which, by the way, was carrying a shitload of sodium cyanide, which is we don't know what that is at the moment, but we do know where all of the jet fuel that the American was carrying is, because it's busy oxidizing, as you see before you.
It's going up in the air, which is where it was going to be anyway. So
it's not in an environment. It's been towed outside the environment.
It's making its way towards the jets, which is where it wants to be. It's sympathetic resonances. It's like a color-based diet. It's like, it has the energy that it wants to have. Anyway, so I'm thinking that this is a really bad time to be a mariner if you're kind of like boat sinking, boat on fire, also cyanide. That's a bad combination of things to be happening at once.
Hey, you've got a caustic burn, the likes of which no one's ever seen before. Congratulations! Here's $8.
I bet it's one of those situations where like the added sodium actually makes it harmless.
Oh, just like
thank God we're not a chemistry podcast.
This cyanide's only dangerous if you get the low sodium version.
Exactly. That's just regular HCN. I think that's the formula for
chemical burn. Yeah. Diet chemical burn.
I feel like cost-ish.
I feel like anything with a cyanide in it is going to be probably pretty dangerous to like cellular respiration. But what do I know?
Who knows?
Almonds, Nova. Almonds.
I can quite confidently say I do not know.
So this maybe people on Reddit can get mad at me for like being confidently wrong again, but this happened in the North Sea, off the coast of Yorkshire, and coastal Yorkshire is now under a like maybe don't breathe the air kind of warning, which it's not great. It's not like sort of HF refinery spill type thing, but it's not great for you. To be breathing any of this stuff in.
I like how all the containers have puffed up like a lithium-ion battery.
Yeah.
Oh no, my shipment of lithium-ion batteries.
It's fine. It's fine.
So, I mean, but we don't know what the like oil spill resulting from this is going to be like, but obviously none of it's good, right?
Still on fire at time of recording, I believe.
Yeah, this happened pretty much like right before we started recording. Also, the American tanker was transporting jet fuel for the US military, which means this was an active Portuguese anti-imperialist praxis.
Yes.
But also
the special F-35 fuel. They're going to have to spend $2.5 billion to make more of it.
I'm not allowed to make jokes about the F-35 anymore because Laserpig will get mad at me.
I think it's also crucial that this happened a couple of days after Hegseth removed all of the like woke stuff from the DoD's website, including a photo of the Enola Gay because it had the word gay in the name.
Oh, so, that is funny.
This is what happens. Like you take away the wokeness, and all of a sudden things like this start happening. So the next US US flag tanker you're on, you have to make sure and check that the bridge crew comprises a diverse mix of racial, ethnic, gender, and religious identities.
Yeah, we need the one-legged trans woman who is romantic and indigenous. Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't know, basically, but it feels like this is just part of a general ill-omened moment in any kind of transportation, right? Like, I know that's a statistical anomaly, but I think it's more fun to say that it's because of Trump. So
yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, the only thing we haven't seen, I mean, we have seen a big train wreck. We've seen a couple of them recently, but that's like the normal amount of train wrecks. We haven't seen one like involving an Amtrak train yet, so that's probably next up.
Well, I mean, I hope you're not touching the lathe.
I hope not either. I tried to get all the lathe touching in last episode.
Yeah,
but that the United States is going to be sunk shortly, so that kind of fits in.
Just tow the whole United States out into the ocean and sink it.
Like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Yeah,
that's what they're doing. Yeah, she's on her way, unfortunately.
SS United States recently left the dock in Philly. They towed it all the way around to Mobile, Alabama for asbestos abatement. They're going to sink it off the coast of Florida as an artificial reef.
You can't sink it with the asbestos. The fish will get mesothelioma.
What an indignant way to go, man.
Yeah.
I suppose it's better than it getting scrapped, but that's sad either way.
I was surprised it made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing was rickety. It's being probably a little generous.
I have a friend who used to be in the Conservancy and quit in disgust, I think. And they were like, yeah, it's going to sink. It didn't sink. I mean, it will sink eventually, but that's the deliberate sinking.
She's made of iron, sir.
Yeah. No, aluminum.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, the whole thing's aluminum.
I did not know that. I guess that would explain the speediness, but
yeah, exactly.
Not at least with trained person over here.
At least with the name, it doesn't feel like like a metaphor for kind of great
SS
things.
United States to be sunk off the coast of Florida.
No way.
No.
It's like after Trump got elected the first time, people started finding all those dead bald eagles. Real thing, by the way. I remember seeing the news story the day after he got inaugurated the first time. Somebody just found like a bald eagle face down in a swamp, and I'm like, what do you want from me?
God has a peculiar sense of humor.
It's difficult not to believe in omens at times like this, Yeah.
In other news,
why is this man wearing a quarter zip?
Yeah, Trump and J.D. Vance got really mad at Zelensky for not wearing a suit.
the thing is,
shut
right?
the fuck up. Oh,
okay, wow, Jesus.
Not you.
I guess the thing is, right, irrespective of all of the JD Vance edits, the
him leading into it makes me want to myself, by the way.
I kind of feel like the Russiagate libs are vindicated here in the sense that whether or not the piss tape is real and like Donald Trump is being remote controlled from Moscow with the promise of the piss tape being released, he wouldn't act any differently if he were, right? Like this is like 100% the same in outcomes, if not in process, because the whole sort of core assumptions of American foreign policy are just being demolished here. And all in Russia's favor, which is fun.
You know, I figured this would end in some kind of brokered solution immediately, but now that it's happening, I find myself very mad about it.
They're actually too stupid. I mean, listen, if it makes you feel any better, right? I had the similar kind of feeling from the opposite side with Syria, right? Where I was like, well, you know, I know it might be bad, but, you know, Assad's gone. I'm going to let myself hope for like a week. And then, you know, now obviously there are very good reasons to stop doing that. So yeah, it just
people getting kidnapped in broad daylight.
Yeah, it turns out even if you win, you kind of still lose, which
I did not support Assad. I want to make that very fucking clear. If I have to do that,
no, I know.
Jesus Christ.
I never ever commented on any of that shit because I knew I didn't understand it.
Yeah, I listen. At the risk of sounding like the guy in my neighborhood. Yeah, man. I mean, listen. Imperialism is bad, no matter what flag it happens to be wearing.
You have Assad in your neighborhood?
I don't have Assad.
Well, we don't know where he's like. Supposedly he's in Moscow, but like I don't know if you're like, hey, a new optometrist just opened up around from me. Guy looks weird as hell.
Yeah,
I do need a new optometrist, so we're gonna find out. It's like that guy they captured in like the mid 2000s who had been like the architect of a bunch of Rwandan war crimes.
Oh God, yeah. Well, I mean, when they captured Ratko Mladic, he had been working as like a tantric sex coach. So like the second career of the war criminal is like an interesting one, right? So, but yeah, no. So obviously this is like very very bad and infuriating, and I think you can even at this point do worse than to sympathize with you know just lib out, become like a NAFO kind of dog person.
Yeah.
Like because they were kind of right. You know,
those comments are not going to be kind to you, Nova.
I know, but listen, the thing is, right?
You're
like
not wrong.
Russia started the fucking war. It's been a series of war crimes and crimes of aggression. And the US was obviously supporting Ukraine for cynical reasons. Obviously, there were like bad elements in Ukraine they were supporting, but this is even like within that internal logic, this is one of the worst things you could do. This would be the thing you wanted to do if you wanted to cause Ukrainian 9/11. Like fucking a bunch of Azov guys blow up the Capitol or something in like 10 years time.
I was about to say, the Azov battalion's gonna 9/11 us. They're also gonna shoot Zelensky. I mean, you know, all this is not a great outcome, guys.
No, and the thing is that there was a kind of opportunity for a limited sellout here if Trump and Vance had been smarter, but they're not. They're the guys that they are, and so even in selling out Ukraine, they had to do it in the stupidest possible way that alienated the most people and fucked with the US the most.
I will say that if anyone has access to long-rumored Ukrainian loose nukes, it's probably Azov Battalion.
I mean,
so you want to explain what's going on in your basement there, Ross?
That's not mine.
Yes. Yeah. These belong to some Ukrainian guy. It's weird.
I don't know. Yeah. You know, you guys know Igor, right? Yeah,
I got these.
Fuck you. No.
I got these from my optometrist.
I had to explain that Libya armed the IRA the other day to my wife, and that was
Gaddafi was just doing shit.
Just a guy who's like, you know, a man of many things.
Yes.
Yeah. So no, I don't know. I've been like infuriated by this. It's been making me feel crazy. And just everything since the fucking Vance speech in Munich, where he's like, you know, Europe is fucking woke and gay now, so you can get fucked. I've just been like, I always wanted the U.S. empire to collapse, but not like this.
Yeah.
You know?
We would have preferred another way too. But
yeah.
Speaking of war crimes,
don't yell at me in the comments.
In other news,
it's Hitler time. It is now Hitler time.
We're doing Hitler stuff. The administration is pledged to start deporting students on foreign visas who support Palestine, which they call supporting Hamas.
It's
flagrantly unconstitutional, but it remains to be seen if the courts will bother to stand up to that at all. And even if they do, who knows if they're going to enforce it.
There are specific green card protections. I mean, I know I'm going full resistance lib, but like, come on now, dickheads.
Yeah, this is Mahmoud Khalil.
Also, fucking doing it like shalom. It's like, again, I've said it before, not my fucking name.
It's gross.
I might be
it's
Catholic
disgusting.
now. I don't know, but nah, it's still got the circumcision. Circumcision.
We can't all become Catholic before we do the Catholicism bonus episode. They can't give us like a total like across the board win before we fucking put the episode out.
Yeah, this is Mahmoud Khalil. He's a graduate student at Columbia University. They just sort of banned him a couple days ago because he was doing negotiations at one of the big Palestine encampments at Columbia. He had his student visa revoked, but he had a green card, and they're also like, "Oh, well, we're revoking your green card."
That was the thing. It was clown shoes shit because they showed up to be like your student visa's revoked and you're getting deported. But when he told them that he had a green card, they didn't really know what to do because they didn't know that, which they're the government that you're kind of supposed to. And they're like,
well done, assholes.
Okay, sure. Well, I guess we're going to revoke that and deport you too. So like this is, like I say, it is massively, massively illegal. It's one thing I will say is that at the moment it's still not normalized yet to the point that it's scaring even like fucking squishy libs like Jonathan Chait or whoever. So maybe that's going to make a difference. I don't know, but I just the thing about resist libs, right? And I've been saying this for a while, is that they're not wrong about Trump. That was never the problem. Right. And when we said to not to vote for Harris or Biden or whatever, and I stand by those things, it doesn't mean that they weren't right about Trump. It's just that they were the ones who are happy to lay the groundwork for him on this. This is something that like a Democratic president might well have tried to do in a more legalized way.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see if they had kept the war in Gaza at a more brisk pace as Biden seemed to want to do. They might be doing exactly the same thing. But it'd be like the kids in cages, right? They weren't a problem when Biden was doing it.
They were a problem when the cameras were running, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. But that's also not the reality we live in. So we live in a reality where Trump is president, and they're not going to fucking do it. Like Colombia's response has been, I don't know, shameful to say the least. Strike.
Yeah, you have to treat all of these institutions as your enemy, right? Whether that's the university, whether that's the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, right? The kind of distinctions don't really matter at this point.
Every institution is your enemy now. The FAA.
Except for the Vanguard Party, we're going to start any day now. Any day now, we're going to do it.
Come on, be an anarchist. It's more fun.
It's actually you gotta go protest everything. Go protest a Tesla dealership. Go protest Amtrak. I don't care.
Yeah, go do whatever you want to a Tesla dealership. I don't know if we have that in the news, but it is pretty funny to watch their stock price just.
Check this shit out, liberal. And not just theirs, but also everybody else's with this tariff shit, which should have been a slide.
1,000 points in a day, baby. Yeah, fucking
Jesus
amazing.
Fucking Christ.
So my dad used to be a bankruptcy attorney before he retired, and he did a lot of small business bankruptcies. He did personal bankruptcies, and he was always just like, oh yeah, the economy's crashing. Oh, this is so fucking great. And that's like, I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, it's bad for like my savings because I'm trying to buy a house, but also like, yeah, you want it. Yeah, I'm a social worker, baby. I'm recession proof.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of I mentioned this a bit in the last bit, but it's like I love the collapse of the United States, apart from the fact that a bunch of my friends live there, and also my country is entirely dependent on it. So
and your state has already collapsed.
Yeah. I mean, basically. So
Sir Keir, he's not gonna. Sir Keir, I thought that he. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, welcome to collapse, but I would encourage it to go further.
Okay, well, you're seeing my dad on Saturday, so you two could just bro out over the accelerationism. Wednesday, you're seeing him on Wednesday.
Yes.
But yeah, in the meantime, this is obviously terrifying and is intended to terrify you.
Exactly.
So
that's
the thing
point.
you should do is not be terrorized, but to fucking again, if your form of resistance is to do the like pink pussy hat, I think it's kind of pathetic, but like it's better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
So Christ.
Also, she won't because no, you know what? I'm not going to because I want Nova to be admitted to the United States pretty please.
Yes, yeah, thank you.
Hello, DHS.
Hello, Customs and Border Protection. Hello, State Department. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Please approve my visa.
Yeah, and that reminds me, I forgot to put in a slide about the tour. So pretend that's here. That was the goddamn news.
Why'd you say tour like that?
Okay, so now the picture for the tour should be up.
I would still no. Stop.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna. Oh, yeah.
I forgot to put it in.
So we have tickets left in Philly. We have tickets left for the first night of New York. Please come buy those. Please come see us.
I believe that some of the tickets in New York have gotten cheaper.
Yes, you're welcome.
Through methods that are inscrutable to us.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just approve those emails. I don't read them.
Dictated but not read. Liam
I have one more announcement actually, which is I guess we could also put it in the video description. We have a website now.
Shit!
Oh yeah.
Only took us what, like 4 years?
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta set up your email addresses so when it goes to Roz there's your problem. It just bounces to Roz's Gmail address. If anyone wants Roz's Gmail address or his cell phone number, you guys know where to find me.
Oh God.
We need to get a layer back on in a hurry so she can dox you again.
Oh God.
All right, let's talk about the upside down train.
Yeah. So
the what?
The upside down train.
Let's
it
talk
fully
about
Mussolini'd itself. Okay.
Okay. So.
Okay, yeah.
That's a terrific visual gag.
I am a hack. What do you want from me?
Yeah.
Low hanging fruit, much like Mussolini himself.
Yeah. So, I guess we'll start with some context.
I did not mean fruit in a sexually derogatory sense. I just mean that he was strung up from a lamppost.
Calling Mussolini like the F-slur is a great bit as well. Because
I'm not doing that. I can't do that. I will leave that to you. I am an ally. See, got my clenched fist here. All right, talk to me about this dead bitch.
All right, this is Mussolini. Benito Mussolini. He was the fascist dictator of Italy. One thing people like to say about him is say what you want about him, but at least he made the trains run on time.
Not true.
Not true.
Myth. Famous
he
myth.
Did
yes.
Famous myth.
You can go to the Wikipedia list of common misconceptions.
I mean, but one kind of thing is, even though this is a myth pre-war, one thing that really stops the trains from running on time is getting bombed a lot, and we were doing that, and he helped start the war, so
there were
his fault.
Politically important luxury trains that started running on time better, and they put, fascist guards with fancy uniforms on them, and everyone loved them. So.
I feel like fancy uniforms was the main kind of contribution of Italy to fascism.
Pretty much, yeah. That and like the futurism.
Yeah, although even then, like it's kind of I mean, fascism's this like mix, it's like this marriage between like the revolutionary and the like sentimental conservative, right? So like it kind of every time it gets like sort of pinned down on one, it retreats into the other, and so you get the like Arno Breker kind of like Nazi statues, but you also get the like chocolate box kitsch kind of like Heimat shit. So yeah, I don't know, not even that maybe.
Yeah, Mark, are you still there? You haven't said anything in a while.
I'm here. I had not much to contribute to previously, but
yeah. Do you have any like actionable threats against any named persons?
I do not have an actionable threat against any named persons. I do just wish that humans would look at other humans and other living things and being like, yeah, that's important. I treat myself this way. Maybe I should treat everyone else this way. And there seems to be a distinct lack of that.
Apparently, empathy is a sin now. I don't know if you've heard.
Apparently, I'm a very empathetic person, and listening to the politics section was a little challenging on my end because it was very depressing. But such is life these days, I guess. Here we are.
I'm sorry that we make all of our guests sit through a kind of mandatory 20-minute segment of us making actionable threats against named persons.
Bad news, fire hose.
It's fine. That's what I say, right? Before I do a shot of whiskey, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. Yeah, it is a wee bit hilarious that I didn't know this about Mussolini. People will come to learn about me. People looking like, oh, you work in vintage train things and you're on YouTube talking about old trains. And I'm like, yeah. I'm an engineer and I'm neurodivergent. I really like the train part. I didn't get the history part. So I did not know these statements about Mussolini, which is kind of fun and hilarious to learn. But yeah, no one in power has the charge of whether or not a train's on time. Like, yeah, they can approve like, oh yes, comrade, our train will be on time. They can do that. And that's great, but every other train, like normal day-to-day operations, no, that's not going to happen. What do you think? Like, it's the same thing about, I don't know, prices of eggs. Anyway,
I would say the closest to anything directly that someone did to make the train run on time was that when Lenin was being covertly returned to St. Petersburg, he was disguised as the stoker on the locomotive. And apparently he was very good at it.
Just realizing you're kind of missing the career you're really inspired for as you go back to like seize power.
Everyone would have preferred you being a fireman than
I would
what
not.
You did.
Yeah.
No, I would not. But
well,
I do like the idea that I thought I would be writing poetry after the war, but it's just Lenin and just like, when do I get to shovel more coal?
Yeah. So, they do fascism in Italy for a while. That leads to them getting into, of course, World War II.
Is that Monte Cassino?
Yes.
Yeah. That's arguably an allied war crime and certainly a strategic kind of piece of futility.
Yeah. But hey, we won the war, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, Mark Clark, in particular, kind of forced the bombing of this like very ancient monastery.
Yes,
destroyed a bunch of like very, very old manuscripts and art and stuff because it was on top of a hill. The Germans were in it, but they weren't really using it, and they ended up fighting out of the craters, and it was a whole fucking thing. It's just disastrous all around. The whole Allied campaign in Italy is like ego and stupidity. It's wild stuff.
Yeah, we'll talk about some of that in a bit.
I think killed my great uncle, who again was maybe killed by Germans, although by that point 300,000 Italians were fighting. It's not relevant. Go on. We miss you, Uncle Charlie.
The war goes pretty poorly for Italy, enough so that they surrendered. Yeah, and once they surrendered, Hitler was like, "Oh no, you don't," and he invaded.
We must defend the Gothic line, which went so well.
Yes.
It's a great combat mission game, though.
They wind up being occupied in the north by the Axis, which included occupying themselves.
Yeah, the Italian Social Republic, which is the setting of Salo, the Pasolini movie. Yeah.
And, the war essentially ended in southern Italy relatively quickly. It was just like, okay, we're under Allied control now, whatever.
Yeah, we're all doing like Godfather Part 2 shit in we're just like Godfather Part 1. Whatever. Sicily's cool, right? It's a bunch of like Michael Corleone's there. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. You know. Now during Allied occupation, the economy was all kinds of fucked up, right? If you're in a port city, you know, something like Naples or Rome singular. Rome's, yeah.
That was only the one. Yeah.
They captured Rome, but there was a bunch of they didn't destroy the German 10th. There was a bunch of, I don't know, mismanagement of the war, we'll say.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on.
So it's relatively easy to come by things like clothing and cigarettes, all kinds of stuff the American military was bringing in on Liberty ships and stuff. There wasn't much food. Food was harder to come by. In the countryside, the situation was reversed, right? Now, the problem there was that travel was pretty restricted. So the
you gotta steal a bicycle. There's a whole thing about that.
The main way
of
fixing
ride a bicycle. My bad.
Use the other appendage. It's fine.
Yeah, I got you. You can't see me pedaling, but I sure am.
The main way of fixing this economic imbalance was to stow away on a freight train and go barter out in the countryside, right?
I was a thing in like early occupation Japan as well. Like people like getting out of Tokyo to go back to their like, you know, family like hometowns and stuff and try and get, you know, like whatever they had harvested.
It's a thing generally with trains. It's one of the darndest things, you know, people bum around the country and bum a ride, whatever country it is, on trains when they can. I had somebody do so, and they decided to hop off at 50 miles an hour at the shop I used to work at for the NSF. And he insisted that I don't call an ambulance, but his, you know, whatever bone is attached to the shin, I'm an engineer, not a medical person, sticking out through his knee made me say, no matter who you are, you
may need an ambulance. Yeah.
We don't love to see an open fracture.
Yeah, that was pretty gross. It was a fun time.
Folks, train hopping is dangerous. You can and will get turned to pasta sauce if you fuck up.
Don't do it. We tell the train crew, we tell the goddamn train crew not to get on and off moving equipment. Don't fucking hitch a train, please, if I can say one thing in this episode.
So during this time in Italy, of course, the train service is actually pretty poor, but it's also balkanized, right? There's some trains being dispatched by
shoes on the other foot. Italy tries to Italianize the Balkans and ends up balkanizing Italy.
Yes.
Old country run the train. We like this.
That's gone poorly. Yes.
Some of the trains are dispatched by the Italian state railways, and some are dispatched by the Allied command. There's not very much coordination. There's some pretty poor communication. Passenger service is especially bad. You know, so a lot of times no one actually knows what's running on which line with whose equipment and how and where.
So the crane situation in Philly.
Yeah.
This just sounds like the railroad. Like
literally,
the amount of times I sent GIFs of Led Zeppelin playing Communication Breakdown to my coworkers on a day-to-day basis when I work for the railroad. This is a day that ends in Y.
Oh, yeah. So now most of these trains were these wonderful things called steam locomotives.
Fantastic. Beautiful.
Yes.
Great technology.
We love these. And I have to say, you've picked a very, very, very specific, really, really stupid one to use for your diagram. But I'm here for it.
You know what? I just realized a bunch of extra stuff on there. Yeah. This is Andre Champlain's one, or whoever his name is, right?
This is a French choo-choo with 4 cylinders. Much power and small space. Apparently, I don't know. It was a shit post of a locomotive, but yes, it does make a good diagram though.
Yeah. So, what is a steam train?
It's literally we're doing the Simpsons bit of like Le Grill, Locomotive à vapeur. What the hell is that?
Dampflok. What is that? Yeah, it's a bomb on wheels. It's a bomb on wheels. Really, I mean, it is James Watt's invention taken to a horrifying final modern end, quote unquote. modern being like, 1920-ish.
Yeah.
But yeah, steam train, you have a steam engine, which is the bottom bit, and you've got the bomb, which is the top bit, the boiler. And, you put all those things together and you can make lots of stuff move, and they're really good at making lots of stuff move. You make a fire, it boils some water, it makes the steam, use the steam, and rather than reuse it like a sensible marine kind of situation, you violently vomit it out the stack, which causes the fire to get real hot. And you get rid of all the fiery gases and all that stuff, which may or may not be important to the rest of this episode, out the stack. And, hopefully it goes out into the stratosphere and meets the jets like the jet fuel we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But, maybe it doesn't. So, yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
There is an issue where you're making all this smoke and steam, but sometimes trains go in holes.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
So how do we compensate for that?
Stupidly.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
I was really hoping that the answer would be invent electric locomotives, which eventually. But...
So not even eventually. This is the fun of this, okay? So we understood this intrinsically as the US very early, much earlier than this story takes place. Look up the Great Northern Railway of the US. We've done stories on my YouTube channel about it previously, where they had electrified in the teens, the 1900s, 100 years ago-ish plus, and they ran through the longest tunnel in the US, which is 7 miles, and they used the electric power just for that. But even before that tunnel existed, all those things, all that fun. But all these steam examples that you're showing on the slide are hilarious to me, except the cab forward. The cab forward's badass. I've seen it.
Everyone likes the cab forward. Yeah,
did a video about it. It's kick-ass. You could have used a worse cab forward, which we need not discuss. North Pacific Coast number 21.
As I interpret this, 3 solutions to the same problem. Is if you're in a tunnel, everything is going to get filled with like choking steam and smoke, and that's not good because people need to breathe air.
Yeah.
So solution number 1, we do like a fume hood type deal, and we just make you wear this in the tunnel.
Yes.
Yeah, and so the hilarious thing about this, anyone who's ever worked on a locomotive, regardless of a steam locomotive, will understand how terrible this is. It's like a gas mask. Southern Railway did this, and I've been meaning to do a video for a long time on this. They plugged the gas mask into the main reservoir of the air system on the locomotive. So, okay, it's air. It's air. Yes, but you're getting damp steam locomotive air compressor, scuzzy, disgusting, milky air. When I asked my friends... We literally all said, no, I would never put that on. I would rather just put a rag over my mouth and nose. That is disgusting.
It's literally like, I want to breathe some ventilated air, so I'm going to hook up a big tube to the fan on the back of my computer and just take a big inhale of that.
Especially your computer and the air is contained within.
Oh, you're assuming it's not moist already. Listen, there's some things going on in that case I don't care to account for.
That's valid and fair, but
screw down your hard drives properly.
The drip that comes out of the main reservoir looks like chocolate milk.
Tasty.
So just breathe the chocolate milk that is not chocolate, nor is it milk. It is steam cylinder oil.
Why are all the things that are worse for me so delicious looking? Why does lead taste so good?
I never got to try the mummy water.
Yeah, there's still time, Roz.
So that's 1. Solution 2. It's second funniest to me. What if we put the steam in a tube and we run that tube all the way?
Back, baby.
There will be blood style out the back of the thing, so it's not my problem anymore.
So this sort of thing kills draft, right? Like we talked about ejecting the steam with great velocity out the top of the smoke box, which is the front bit, which is not pressurized. That's where the gases and the steam mix. It goes out a literal rocket nozzle called the blast nozzle, which induces a normal shock wave inside the smoke box to suck those gases out quite violently. And putting it through a long tube reduces the effectiveness of that. So you don't get the same draft, which means this locomotive would steam like shit. It would not do well.
They did this for like war locomotives, like underneath sometimes. We've talked about it before to like hide like steam clouds.
The steam, like
they would have steamed like crap. They would have sucked to fire. They wouldn't have made steam. But like, if you got to be sneaky, you got to be sneaky. But if you're trying to use a locomotive and like, I don't know, move some tonnage, which, well, I mean, you know, no offense to my British friends here. You know, the Brits were not known for doing compared to what we did over here.
I mean,
one thing we did do right,
country.
Freight trains. Smaller country, more dense. I love British trains, but I do love giving the Brits shit too. You know, you would have been fine with that.
Who won the fucking war anyway? Without us, you'd all be speaking German.
Well, you know, it's the details.
Who's to say?
Goes back to the politics section. And you scratch your head and go. But anyway.
And then solution number 3. What if I'm in front of the big scary bomb? And the bomb is just doing its thing behind me and I don't have to worry about it.
Exactly. And solution number 3 is actually fucking kick-ass. I've seen that exact locomotive. It is a tragedy that there are not more of these because the Southern Pacific built several hundred like this. It's cab forward, put the cab in front. They were extremely successful. They had 12 classes of, although the AC-9 was not cab forward, whatever. They had what they called articulated consolidations, AC. And they were AC1 through AC12. And they're fantastic. That engine is preserved in Sacramento, California State Railroad Museum. Amazing museum if you can go.
I have maybe a stupid question.
It's just incredible. Yeah.
My stupid question is I see the coal wagon behind it.
It's not coal. That's
not coal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
You're so British it hurts.
I hear this so often.
How could it not burn coal? It's a steam train.
If I was Swiss, I would say, where do you put the wood? Right? If I was a Marine, I would say, where do you put the bayonet? This is just an essential characteristics of the thing.
National stereotypes are hurtful facts.
The better part of half of the engines in the U.S. burned fuel oil. And the Southern Pacific being located, I don't know, down in Texas, friend, and all along the South and up into California, had large sources of oil to utilize. So they burned fuel oil. It is an oil burning locomotive. And the firebox is gargantuan. You can see it in there, and they've got the oil burner, and you get to see it. It's super neat. What a fantastic artifact. But, you know, they just plumbed everything up to the cab, which is one of those hilarious little things about this kind of engine versus any other kind of engine where, you have to bring everything from the tender, which is still behind, up to where you can control it and then back to where it goes. So the oil comes from the tender, from the bunker, up to the cab where the firing valve is for the fireman, then to the burner. The water comes from the tender, runs all the way, you know, I mean, this is a huge locomotive. This is bigger than anything they built in Britain by a factor of 4.
Well, size isn't everything.
Well, it's true. It's how you use it. We know this. And you guys have the speedy boys, and we'll let that be. But
wrong.
Water
no, T1 Trust is going to fix that.
Oh man, you guys are on my side. I love that. Yeah. Duck for dinner. Anyway.
It's not as pretty.
Well, you know, again, beauty in the eye of the beholder. But, you know.
First, there's your problem episode to end in a fist fight.
You said this locomotive wasn't pretty, and I'm going to fly to Britain right now. Anyway, tell me you're neurodivergent without. Anyway.
Just like, what's the purpose of your visit? Combat.
Yes. Somebody has to go down. All in all, British trains, lovely. American trains, lovely. Very different purposes, very different things. All the stuff. Who cares? Whatever. Blah, blah, blah. Imagine plumbing 100 feet almost of water from the tender to the injector that's in the engine to then plummet almost 100 feet back to where it needs to go into the boiler. A little stupid, lots of extra work, lots of extra rework, which is why these things were not common. The Southern Pacific having the ridiculous amount of tunnels that they had, it made sense. They made a ton of these. They used them all the time. Amazing locomotives. And it's a shame we only have the one, but the one we have is one of the last and one of the best. And it is truly an engineering marvel. And we're very thankful to have it for reasons that we will learn about very shortly from Justin.
Yes. What can we say other than restore it and run it on the main line?
Yeah, exactly.
Why not?
Well, SP, yeah, there's details there, but who cares?
Yeah.
So, but like, if I'm doing all of this is exhausting. Can't we just electrify the thing?
No, shut up.
Okay.
So, most people do that. String the wire. And they say that.
Roz.
You know how much wire you'd have to string? You know how much maintenance that would cause? You know how many meth heads we have in the US that would steal the wire?
Well, these
to
are
me.
problems.
It's called Keynesianism. What you do is you string the wire. That requires a bunch of wire stringers, and then you station a railroad cop every 10 meters, like a presidential motorcade's coming through, and to just like shoot anybody who tries to steal the wire. That's jobs. And then pretty soon, everybody is either working as a wire stringer or a railroad cop, and nobody's left to steal the copper.
I like this plan. It's a good plan.
Well, there's your problem. Make work program.
And they say Leninists don't know how to organize an economy.
I mean,
it's central planning at its finest.
When I was at the BNSF, we had 3 cops for the Northwest Division, 3 for the Northwest Division, which is a small division. And when I worked at Transit, we had overhead contact systems stolen, all of it, like several miles worth. It's fine. And, several miles worth in transit versus the, 32,000 miles of just that one railroad. Details. You get the idea.
This is kind of like, it reflects a fundamental inadequacy of the American criminal, right? Because it shows a lack of ambition, right? Steal the wires, whatever, fine. Show me, like, if you're telling me that, a steam locomotive is safer because it's harder to steal, you need a better class of thief, right?
Yes.
Start stealing steam locomotives.
Yeah. And then running it on the main line. Of course.
It's fine.
Like the general?
Many options of that, including an episode 3/4 show where we talked about the CB stealing South Korean locomotives, which was hilarious, but another story for another time.
So my understanding with running steam locomotives in the tunnel is that you're not supposed to open the firebox because the flames all shoot out at you. Is that a thing, or is that like something I made up?
That depends on the draft. For all my viewers, drink. That's the fun. Everything depends. Everything is situational. Nothing's black and white. Everything's kind of gray, right? So if you've got a good head of steam, you're working hard, you're working the engine hard, and it's ejecting shit out the stack, it's going to draft everything in. I mean, point of context, when you put in the snow shovel sized shovel to put coal in the back corners when you're working hard, it is trying to rip that shovel out of your hands like somebody pulling you away from a car that's going to hit you. Like, it is a crazy amount of force from the air. So no, it's not going to blow back if you've got that draft. If you don't, that air pressure back down the stack, oh man, it'll blow flames out the cab 6 feet. I mean, to touch the tender and beyond.
Oh my God.
That's not a fun time.
So I mean, what I'm hearing is make sure you got enough power, and the other one, of course, don't stall.
Yeah, don't do that. That's not great.
Is bad.
And ideally, like, just in case, because power is variable, trains running slow, the draft is variable. You fire before you go in, and then you hope that the fire is going to take you all the way through. Typically. But
there you go.
You never know.
I mean, that's like root knowledge, right? Like, I have to fire the thing this much in order to get through this tunnel, which I know is this long beforehand. But
exactly.
Sure, yeah.
And that's
not always possible because it's not an ideal world. And I don't know, maybe the same guys who came and stole all of the copper wire have lengthened the tunnel by 10 feet or like, conversely, stolen part of the tunnel. me and my gang of me and my gang of tunnel thieves have removed about 10 feet of the mountain.
Oh no, Henry. So
somebody stole my tunnel. Now it's just a fucking normal railroad.
They daylighted the tunnel because that happened all the time. It's fine.
All right, so that's steam locomotives and tunnels. Now, sometimes you also do something fun, which is, what if you operate 2 steam locomotives on the front of the train?
Run them into each other.
Yeah.
So that is an intrinsically fun time of everyone always asks, are there controls for that? Or like, how do you talk to the other engineer? And it's a lot of, I feel with my butt what I must do.
Like rally directions. Yeah.
Right. Like it's literally the road engine, which is the engine in the back, which the train is typically designated with in the US. So in this case, it'd be extra 475 because 475 is in the back.
Is this Yowie or Yuri? That's the real question.
Yeah. Gotta think about those things. That engine's gonna work its nuts off. It's gonna work as hard as it can, balls to the wall, everything. And then the helper is going to try and stay out of its way, basically, like pull hard enough that you're pulling away and you're maintaining whatever speed you need to maintain. Because anytime you're doing a gabangy between the two of them, you shoot yourself in the foot. And you'll feel it. If the engineers are not in sync, the train will not orgasm. It's very true.
Okay, so it's Yowie then. Okay, right.
Yeah,
We've settled the question.
Got it figured out. Yeah.
Phallic.
Just doing some feminism and wondering why the lack of yonic sort of steam locomotives.
Oh my God.
It's like nobody's designed a pressure vessel that way, but I think that's telling.
Hoop stress. It's easy to make it look like a dick.
Yeah,
there's the quote.
You can tell the male dominance in the railroad industry.
It's fine.
Do you also use whistle codes for this, or is it,
Every railroad is unfortunately different because of course they are, because that's just the way they want to be. We do out in the West, very much so.
Okay. So we also have to talk about coal.
Coal. I've heard of this.
Yes.
You love it.
Yeah.
If you don't have a bunch of petroleum just coming out of the ground in Texas or wherever, you have to use this. Or wood.
Solidified dinosaur.
Yes.
Yeah. The OG spicy rock.
Well,
yes.
it's solidified dinosaur food, right? Like it's mostly
it's
like
not actually dinosaurs. Yeah.
It's all like sort of dead plant material and stuff that got like
it got crushed before bacteria developed that could break down. I forget which plant part.
Yeah, it's one of the most effective carbon sinks.
Yes,
that's its natural
until you
role.
burn it.
Yeah, well, then you're like destroying the thing, and the carbon comes back out, and that's a whole problem for everybody. But like,
well, what we clearly have to do is make more coal.
Start crushing up more plants.
Yeah, real quick.
But yeah, no, this is
here. Let's go.
This is one of the most effective carbon sequestration things ever devised, which we incidentally use to make train go fast sometimes.
Right, coal burning's a huge part of railway stuff, particularly over in your land, Nova.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually freaking out that they've stopped mining the Welsh coal, and it'll be the end of the railway. And actually, one of my good friends is helping you guys convert things to burn the liquid diet, which you'll figure out, hopefully.
Burn the liquid diet is such a hell of a phrase.
So much better than but in the windiest fucking country on earth, being like, where are we going to get electricity to turn a turbine of some kind? I don't know. It's a mystery to me.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
I mean, it's not as if anybody has the technology to split the atom,
or anything like that. Yeah, nuclear. I think we call it nuclear over here. That's at least what W
it's
told me.
pronounced
Despite the impression that you get living here 6 months out of the year, the sun does shine on the United Kingdom, so you can also use that maybe. And then
that's because God doesn't trust an Englishman in the dark.
You shouldn't trust them under the kind of like shadow of all the solar panels either. But the point is, you can build a lot of them, and then you can put all of that beautiful copper wire up, give everybody a job as a railroad cop, and then pretty soon you don't have to burn the Jurassic
it's not
swamp.
Burning coal. Do you not burn coal over there? Isn't that the way it works? But yeah,
isn't the Welsh coal anthracite?
I believe so.
I don't know what it is, and I doubt it's anthracite because there's this whole debate in railroad things. You have the grades of coal for the uninitiated. You have lignite down near the bottom. You have semi-bituminous. You have bituminous, and then you have anthracite at the top. And easy way to tell for the uninitiated again, how shiny is it? anthracite is like, it's darn near a polished, ridiculous substance.
So I'm looking here on Google. I could buy a ton of very shiny looking Welsh anthracite for 648 quid. Jesus Christ!
Is it really anthracite? I'm surprised by that.
So I'm told.
Our locomotives over here are typically designed to burn bituminous coal, and the anthracite burning engines had weird fireboxes that were very, very thick. That's why you have a camelback locomotive where the cab's in front, because the firebox had to be so dummy thick that it could properly burn a smaller amount of anthracite.
That's because, as far as I know, that's because they didn't burn the actual mined anthracite. They burned the spoil, the comb.
So I would not be surprised by that. I'm not an anthracite expert.
Because the anthracite is too expensive to burn in the locomotive. You use that for like home heating or building heating because it burns so clean.
That does sound like the railroad that I know. So, yeah. So anyway, our engines are usually designed to burn bituminous. Bituminous is a lesser grade. It's got a bunch of crap in it. But coal, as we'll see in this episode, coal is so dependent on the grade, the quality, what it is, even in those ranges. I've had bituminous that we've burned in our locomotive that burns great, makes a bunch of ash, but burns great. It's fine. I've had the same grade of coal. It was bituminous coal that we burned in the locomotive, and it had so much oil content in it that it plugged all the way every single fluid tube in the locomotive. 203 fucking flues and tubes, including the big 5.5-inch ones, were plugged solid with this weird, cakey, greasy, disgusting coal particulate. And we sat there trying to fire it up the one day, and it's like it got to 7 psi. We've got the blower, which drafts the fire with a steam draft, open as far as it goes, and it wouldn't make more than 7 psi. We shut it off. We go and look later when it cooled down. It's like the tube sheet looks like a blackboard. It looks like something in a classroom. It doesn't look like it has tubes because it was just covered in this shit. And it was just junk garbage. Still bituminous, but just junk garbage. So sometimes you get good coal, sometimes you get bad coal. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and during the war, the Italians used German bituminous coal, not the lignite they're famous with mining. With the big bucket wheel excavators that tear through a whole village. This is a higher grade bituminous coal. But during the Allied occupation, of course, they couldn't use German coal, so they use a lower grade American bituminous coal, which was shipped over on, Liberty ships, probably from like West Virginia or somewhere. Well, from Norfolk, Virginia or Baltimore, Maryland, but the coal originated from West Virginia. And it was found just in general to have poorer steaming quality than the German coal, and it created a lot more smoke. And this didn't really bother Allied command. Like, it's not like they're about to go out and buy the better coal from Germany now.
Yeah, fuck them.
Shovel harder, you bitch.
Yeah, and you're also you're occupying a formerly fascist country, and all these guys were shooting at you 5 minutes ago. It's
exactly.
Fucking, I don't care about your passenger service. Right?
Figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, let's talk about the Battipaglia to Metaponto Railway.
Hell yeah.
I'm looking at all of these names on the thing and just soaking them all in. This beautiful language.
I do not speak third best Italian, so I'm going to struggle with
that. Italian. All right, Roz, you're up. You love Italy.
I do love Italy. Italy's fantastic.
Yeah.
This goes from down here, Battipaglia, right? And it goes and it starts getting into some mountains. Reaches this place called Balvano. This is like a really tiny town that's off the beaten tourist path, and it's also weird because it was entirely rebuilt in 1980 when the earthquake knocked it down. It looks like a tiny Italian traditional village, but it's all board formed concrete. Yeah, brutalist Italy.
This is like southern Italy, right? Because I see Bari over there on the east. Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Naples is like right up here.
We're sort of like about at like ankle level of boot.
Yes.
Yeah, down there. Yeah, you mean to tell me that a train having to do a squiggly left and right also probably has to do a squiggly up and down, and the train don't like it.
Oh yeah. So it goes through at this point at Balvano, the Galleria della Army. That's I believe that's just the army tunnel, right? I don't know why it's called that. It wasn't built for the army, to my knowledge.
No, because it's not army, because army in Italian is esercito. Esercito.
That makes sense.
One of those. So it's like the arms gallery, I suspect.
Yeah.
Like in the sense of like weapons. Welcome to Weapons Tunnel.
Welcome to the Weapons Tunnel. Anyway, the Weapons Tunnel, it makes a few curves in its route. Then the route goes over here to Potenza, right? Potenza is home to the longest escalator complex in Europe.
Oh, good.
Huh.
Yeah. Not at the
escalator
time.
land.
Oh, my, it literally is.
When we say escalator complex, what do we mean exactly?
So part of the old section of the town is on a hill. The new section of the town is on a hill. There's a valley in between.
Yeah.
And there's a covered escalator that goes down the entire hill and crosses a road and then goes up the other side.
So rather than being a temple to the stair god like Dubrovnik, they, weaponized the stairs.
Yeah.
No shit. That's so cool.
It's fun.
And then from Potenza it goes
just
somewhere.
A vision of myself falling down every single fucking escalator step, being carried up to the other side and then falling back down every other escalator step.
Gary's mod ragdoll sounds intensified.
I feel like I'm making those all the time. Being in your 30s.
Yeah.
Your 30s are great until the injury.
Then it goes down here to Metaponto, right?
That's a squiggly ass alignment.
Oh yeah. And this is one of those lines. I don't know too much about it. What sort of it looks like to me is this thing was old when it was new.
Yeah, that tracks.
Definitely a kind of a very squiggly line. Not electrified, obviously. Maximum grade is 2.6%.
That is stout for a choo-choo.
Yeah,
I mean, also as much as the fascists kind of like boasted about trying to remedy it, as have every other political tendency in Italy, there's this really stark like north-south divide, particularly in like poverty as well. So this is kind of a backwater, and it's like in towards the kind of ankle end.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here that has not been really well modernized. I mean, I would say the Italian rail network is in better shape than, let's say, the U.S. rail network, at least for passenger service. But
passenger service in the U.S. is depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still a very curvy route. They have electrified. They electrified it in 1994.
Italian route.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I knew a girl like that once.
Still have a number?
I'll look it up.
This was still a very popular route. It served a bunch of major population centers, but it only had one real passenger train each week. You could catch the train on Wednesdays.
Hey, one a week is worse than Amtrak. You're talking a lot of shit, but like Amtrak at least does that.
Yeah. So anyway, let's meet the players today.
The players.
Yeah.
In the red corner.
Are you? Do the locomotives from this exist?
This is one number ahead of the locomotive involved.
Okay, sister engine.
Next one off the production line. I love the cunty. Sorry, I probably shouldn't call them cunty. I love the stylishly Italian cutout silhouette standees there. They're very cool.
Very non-American. They're very skinny. It is funny that it's a decapod. I can't even do an Italian accent if I tried. We wanted to parody, Daddy Germany with a 210. And so we made this, and it's not quite a class 52, but it's fun.
Yeah, but it's got cleaner lines because it's Italian.
Yeah, that looks like it'll go as fast as a Ferrari.
We build our trains just like
for sure.
We build our trains like we build our cars, functional and basically not running, or beautiful and not running.
Yeah,
it's fine.
So
Jesus.
This is an FS 480. It is a 210, a decapod. This was designed for the Brenner Pass line, which had just become part of Italy instead of Austria, owing to World War I.
Italian irredentism's first and only
Yeah.
victory.
Weights on drivers, you have something to help you through the curves. I mean, it looks spindly to me, but I mean, it's not an American train.
This is really big for Italy. Not big for here, big for Italy.
Yeah. I would wager a bet that my cute little narrow gauge choo-choo that I deal with all the time over here in the States weighs more than this thing.
Oh, we might be able to look that up even.
Yeah, I bet we can. We can wager my bet, and I can owe somebody money within the context of this episode.
The FS 480 weighs.
Wait. Is.
Do we use long tons or short tons? I forget.
We use short tons because long tons are metric tons.
Oh, I see. 92.9 short tons.
92.9 short tons. Is it just for the engine or the engine
That's
and
just
tender?
for the engine. The tender is 57.4.
They're like the same. That's hilarious. I want to say 91 is like 94 short tons. She's right there. 491. A narrow gauge, 3-foot gauge locomotive in the US. Biggest of the narrow gauge, biggest of the 3-foot gauge. But still very small and presumably much smaller driver and all that stuff. Less power. Whoever cares. Not the same size as this thing.
Yeah.
So
So
these
these
boys
guys,
4 times the power. It's fine.
these guys were built in 1923, but they were rendered redundant on the Brenner Pass fairly shortly after they were built because they electrified that whole line in 1930. So they moved them to Sicily, and then they moved them back to the mainland to work the Battipaglia to Metaponto Railway. The one you can see here, this is at Pietrarsa, which is the Italian State Railway Museum. It's incredible. You should go visit. I have been there. I have seen this locomotive. Great location right there on the ocean. You can see Vesuvius and everything. Also, the museum's huge and really well done. All the railway works buildings are really well preserved.
Gotta put that on my list. The railways of that region are so neat, and then they're preserved so well. I spent a lot of time at a railway museum just a couple doors down in Slovenia recently, and so freaking cool and so lovely how tied in the history is to the present day there.
What I liked was that the railway museum had a train station attached to it, so I could. I was with my parents in Italy last year. My brother had never been before.
Rogue?
This is when I went rogue, yeah, because they were like, "We're going to the Vatican today." I was like, "I ain't been to the Vatican. I don't care." So I woke up early and took the high-speed train down to Naples, specifically to go to this railroad museum.
To hell with Jesus. Trains.
Yeah, exactly.
Trains.
Vibes.
But the problem with St. Peter's is it's so big, it's not impressive.
Catholicism is coming, I promise.
Yeah.
This is the problem with getting conservation estimates.
Yeah, exactly.
You end up with a new build, and it's kind of too much, and it's
fine. It's fine.
All right, it's great. You go into this looks like some kind of early Christian basilica. No, some Renaissance asshole redid it in 1620. You piece of shit.
Some Renaissance asshole.
Listen. If you didn't want that to happen, blame the Protestants. They shouldn't have started the Reformation. There wouldn't have been a counter-Reformation. It's all good.
That's a good point.
Yes. Brilliant.
It's all Martin Luther's fault.
Look at history, kids. Wrong. It's fun.
And this other guy, this is an FS 476. It is an 010.
I was going to say, is that an 010? It looks like it.
Yes.
Boy.
Raising my hand here to ask, why would you do that? Why would you? Why is this the way that it is?
Yeah.
So
ride quality is not important.
No.
Oh, okay.
So this is so stupid. I mean, all the weights on drivers, that is very important in some contexts. I did a video maybe a year ago now about wheel arrangements, and I talked about all of the popular ones. Wheel arrangements are a big deal for steam engines. You have lead wheels, you have driving wheels, you have trailing wheels, maybe you have multiple sets of lead wheels. Why do you do these things? And it's generally because you need the engine to perform a certain task, which is why steam engines kind of went out of favor. Diesel engine, which is a box that just does a do, is so much better than, oh, I need that exact tool. I don't need a 10 millimeter wrench. I need a hammer. The diesel's a hammer versus a specific sized wrench for an application. And an 010 means, hey, you're probably shunting. You're probably in the yard. You're not going fast. You need all your weight being adhesive. And if you go more than 20 mile an hour through a curve, your crew is going to hate everything about existence. So, fun time.
I'm a little bit confused as to what these were originally designed for, because I think this might be one of those situations, like the British like to do like 060s and like 080s for mainline service.
It's normal when we do it.
Well, that's because your track is so much better.
That's right. I can hear Gareth like pumping his fist in celebration. That's right.
So, yeah, I mean the British equivalent of a 440 was an 060. So,
and they had no slop between the laterals on the drivers, so they couldn't move back and forth, and they could go faster without being incredibly stupid. And they didn't have to be incredibly stupid because they were pulling checks notes, almost nothing.
So this was actually an Austrian locomotive. And quite a few of them were seized as war reparations after World War I.
Oh, that means it's a wiener.
Yes.
I'm reading here about the FS 476. Their poor riding qualities and huge mass led some Milanese crews to nickname them after an icebreaker.
Not shocked. The lead truck has a point, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not exaggerating it. You watch an O do anything, it fucks the track.
It's fun. This needs to hold like 3 wagons full of like beautiful vegetables, like the nicest San Marzano tomatoes you've ever seen in your life.
Please,
not a single blemish on any of them.
If I could get my San Marzano tomatoes delivered via this 010, that would be all I'd buy.
And then you eat the tomatoes. That gives you the energy to go out and fix the rails, which it has absolutely devastated.
Hi, it's Justin. So this is a commercial for the podcast that you're already listening to. People are annoyed by these, so let me get to the point. We have this thing called Patreon, right? The deal is you give us $2 a month, and we give you an extra episode once a month. Sometimes it's a little inconsistent, but it's $2. You get what you pay for. It also gets you our full back catalog of bonus episodes, so you can learn about exciting topics like guns, pickup trucks, or pickup trucks with guns on them. The money we raise through Patreon goes to making sure that the only ad you hear on this podcast is this one. Anyway, that's something to consider if you have $2 to spare each month. Join at patreon.com/WTYP pod. Do it if you want. Or don't. It's your decision, and we respect that. Back to the show. So, the other thing this train is going to have today is an unusual amount of freight cars.
Oh, a shitload of San Marzanos.
47 cars of, well, they'd be empties because they're heading into the countryside to pick up the San Marzanos.
They're going to make a lot of pizzas later.
Oh, yeah.
Delicious.
Exactly. Well, the interesting thing is there is actually, because of things we'll discuss later, there were going to be quite a lot of black olives on the train coming back.
Huh.
That is that Italy.wav.
Yeah. So yeah, this is an unusual amount of freight cars for this route owing to the sharp curves and the steep grades. And of course, they have north of 500 stowaways on board.
Oh yeah,
Of course.
You know, we always talk about the people tonnage. You have tonnage, and then you add people, and like a person's like not super heavy. One of them.
Well,
But you add a lot of them. They do add up, especially if they're American.
It's Justin's measurement of like an extremely fat man on a like grotesquely it's that guy and his 15 brothers have all sort of like rolled their bicycles directly into the goods yard.
I'd like to think that in 1944 Italy, they're probably not that level, but still.
Just indulge me in a little whimsy, you know?
Sure, yeah, of course.
Whimsy's allowed. These are all fine.
These are all the people who would later come to America and become Italian Americans.
Oh, well, then you're shit out of luck.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jersey.
Yeah, just a bunch of fat guys drinking Peronis.
Hell yeah.
No shirt on.
Again, have we failed at respecting the noble culture and people of Italy?
I think we've failed at respecting the people of America, but I think that's fine.
It's like task failed successfully.
You can't appreciate Italy without appreciating the contrast, which are what makes it great.
True.
You know, you go to Rome or you go to Florence and you see the most beautiful architecture, the most beautiful, streets, the cities, everything. And you see up there on this gorgeous building on this beautiful street on a balcony is a fat shirtless guy in his boxers drinking a Peroni.
Hell yeah.
And it's like, this is the life.
You've heuld of 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah.
I remember I've been to Croatia a couple times. My family's from Croatia.
This is 11 o'clock.
5 o'clock somewhere doesn't apply in Europe. I'm pretty sure, at least Central Europe. It is probably 8 a.m. in Croatia or Italy or wherever, and they're having beers. It's what happens.
So, train 8017 was made up in the yard at Naples on the night of March 1st, 1944. And it started the next day for Potenza. Initially, it was hauled by an electric locomotive, but at Battipaglia, the wires ran out and the power was swapped for the 2 steam locomotives on the previous slide.
Oh boy.
Meth heads stole the wires, so we got to use our steam engine the rest of the way.
You mean Nazis?
I feel like the only meth heads in like 1945 Italy are like in the Waffen-SS.
Legally, they would be Nazis, yes, because they did distribute meth. That is that whole thing. It is amazing to me that, in American railway culture, we electrify, I don't know, the place where you can breathe, or can't breathe, rather, the tunnel. That's what's electrified. And, they electrified what was close and convenient, but maybe that's, the easy thing. And
it's a classic decision-making management strategy, right? You do the easy part first, and then you never have to do the hard part because you just don't bother.
And nothing bad will happen from it.
Nothing bad can ever happen.
Right.
So, on the lead locomotive, which was the 480, were Espedito Senatore and Luigi Ronga, right?
Did you just put this in so you would get to say some Italian names?
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
Espedito Senatore is a fantastic name, though.
That's a really good name.
Fast senator.
Apparently, he was a very good engineer. Had a good reputation. He was like, consummate professional. And then on the second locomotive were Matteo Gigliano and Rosario Barbero.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I don't think you've, as Hans Landa said, you need to let me hear the music in it. I don't think you've got enough music in these names.
Giuliano. Okay.
Rosario Barbero.
Yeah. All right.
Gotta hear the music in it.
So they were engineer and fireman respectively. Anyway, it's slow going, right? This is a 520 ton train with several additional tons worth of stowaways on board.
Yeah, not to mention the bicycles.
Yeah. So
they're freakishly heavy bicycle thieves.
As they're traveling away from Naples, there are a few times the railroad cops show up and they start trying to throw people off. There's so many damn people on the train that they can't manage it. And people keep, picking the train up at various stations they stop at, because this is Europe. The freight trains stop at stations. I don't know what they do there.
Why not? They let the freight see the side.
They need a coffee. It's Italy.
Matteo Giuliani goes puts the fucking what do you call it? The mocha pot on, and Rosario Barbaro goes back and eats a couple of olives off of the wagons.
Oh, there's your next K-28 cooking show. See if you can put a mocha pot in on the.
Roger, we will do that.
That feels like an interesting way to bomb your own camp.
Next time I cook on a K-28, we will do that.
Small pressure vessel, big pressure vessel.
Yes, ¿por qué no los dos? Yes, see. This is a 520-ton train.
Yes.
Yes, Italy.
520
tons. That is 5 cars in the U.S.
Yes.
5.
Yeah.
Yes.
5. Christ.
So this thing is slow as all hell, even on the flat portion of the route. It takes the whole day to reach this crucial piece of infrastructure on the line.
Have we found the hole?
Yeah, this is weapons. It's weapons tunnel.
It's
Weapons tunnel near the town of Balvano.
Is it actually weapons tunnel? It's not a weaponized. It is weapons tunnel.
Yeah, army is arms, weapons.
Christ.
So the army tunnel
weaponized
is a monster, right? It curves through its entire length. It has a 1.3% grade. Has absolutely no ventilation.
Oh, terrific.
Well, you don't want that in a tunnel. This
gives me anxiety.
Me too.
Even in its later years, when it was run by diesel locomotives, the crews complained about dense smoke in there.
Yeah, I bet they did.
For context, the 2 tunnels I'm aware of that I've experienced with in the U.S., Moffat Tunnel, Stevens Pass Tunnel, the 2 longest in the U.S., 5 and something or 6 and something change miles in a 7-mile tunnel. They have gigantic fans. They're ridiculous. The biggest fans you've ever seen that clear the tunnel the instant the train goes in, and it still smells like exhaust if you go in a couple hours later. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, this one's about a mile and a third long, which isn't especially long.
It's a lot for a steam engine with zero ventilation.
Yeah. So this is a nightmare with not 1, but 2 steam locomotives in it, right?
Oh, boy.
Double the belching.
Just after midnight, they arrive at the Balvano station. This is just an isolated building and platform that's about 3 kilometers away from the town, because the town is way up on the hill and the railroad's way down in the valley.
Right? Station master, you can hear him falling down all the escalator steps. And
little spot near the tunnel, because important for railroad. Fuck the people. Duh.
Yeah. Well, the station master is actually pretty suspicious of sending a train this long through the tunnel, especially with this many stowaways. But he can't do anything because this train was ordered by Allied command. It's out of his jurisdiction. This train has to go.
Yeah, the bosses said yes, therefore train go. That sounds a lot like modern day railroading and has resulted in modern day railroading. Check the news.
Being out of a station master's jurisdiction is fun conceptually because it just plays into old cop movie tropes, giving you a badge and your gun.
Yeah.
Your badge, your weirdly accurate pocket watch and your gun.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the train makes a brief stop right after midnight.
They put on some coffee.
You put on some coffee. Yeah, they put on a record or something. I don't know what Italians do.
Smoke.
Well, I'm doing the smoke. They're smoking. Yeah, that's true.
Paint
having
really
a glass of olive oil, as
Yeah.
you do
Yeah,
in Italy.
exactly.
Having a glass of like Cinzano or like limoncello or something.
Yeah. Have some grappa.
Mm.
Oh,
Rule
yes,
G,
I love grappa.
Rule G is a no. Rule G
Yeah.
is don't drink on the job, and
They
it's a
don't-
very
they-
American thing.
They don't have Rule G in Italy.
No, I would
Yeah.
not imagine they do.
They're the opposite of that.
Rule G,
So,
drink on the job.
yeah. And at 12:50 a.m., they set off towards the tunnel. It's just about a mile away. They go through 2 more short tunnels and over a bridge to get there. So they don't pick up very much speed. They're going 15 to 20 kilometers an hour.
I mean, I feel like for this to be safe, the like route leading into the tunnel needs to look like the euthanasia coast. You know?
Yeah. Well, the problem is then, going the opposite direction, you'd have to go up the euthanasia coaster. No one's
I
ever
guess that makes
figured
sense.
that one
You'd
out.
have to have a switch for that,
Yeah.
euthanasia
Yeah,
coaster
exactly.
or not, uphill, downhill.
So they go in the tunnel, and as they enter the tunnel, the wheels turn slower and slower. The chuffs get farther and farther apart. There are wet rails that's reduced the traction. The sanders on board can't compensate. That's the thing that puts the sand between the wheel and the rail, gives you more traction. Finally, with only a few cars sticking out the end of the tunnel, the train stalls.
Uh-oh.
The air becomes thick with smoke, and the oil lamps illuminating the locomotive cabs went out.
That's bad, right?
Yeah, so the joy of this is that a coal burning locomotive is a promise based on the principle that the locomotive's going to keep doing whatever the fuck it's been doing recently. So stomping up the hill, big grade, double headed, big train, bump 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 bump, like working its ass off. That means the fire is being drafted really, really, really fucking hard. And it stomps bum 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 into the tunnel, slowly slows down and stops. That means that fire, which had been combusting probably perfectly, if not a little heavily, maybe a little bit more carbon, no longer has the suction of oxygen because the blast nozzle, the rocket nozzle that we talked about, is no longer supplying any of the air through the smoke box, means the fire is no longer getting anything. Which means you would go from a perfectly clean stack or maybe a slightly hazy stack into, hey, I'm stomping up the grade, I need a big fire, big, violent, crappy coal fire. All of the smoke is now going everywhere and not just out the stack.
Yeah. So it gets really dark.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Is that why
casual.
this slide is just black?
It's fine.
Yes.
Except for our friend, the Activate Windows logo.
Well, I decided, rather than look for a photo, it'd be funny to just leave this one black. Also, I couldn't find another photo.
That's good. I like that bit.
Yeah, there we go. Sometimes laziness, leads you to creative decisions you wouldn't otherwise make. So, as we said, drafted of fire is not good. The locomotives are no longer producing power. The whole thing is a big mess right now. So, in the first locomotive, the fireman, Luigi Ranga, he's searching for air and he doesn't find any. He tried leaning out of the locomotive and was completely overcome by smoke and fell out.
Jesus.
And miraculously, he fell out into the only area where there was breathable air, which was the horrible drainage ditch next to the tracks.
Ah, yes, the chocolate milk factory.
Yeah.
Christ.
Again, God's sense of humor is...
It's immeasurable, isn't it? Because, Christ. I get on our new firemen all the time at the museum. Coal burning engines. You shut the throttle, you stop. Not even working up this kind of grade for this long. Just, working up a steeper grade, but shorter time. Shut off. Black smoke rolls in the cab. And I always joke to them, like, open the blower or I will make it an oil burner. Figure it out. And to be in a double header and to go up this hill in a tunnel, stall out, have the ripping rage roaring crazy fire, and you jump out the window for air. So believable. Anyone who's fired a coal burner will know they're awful in many ways.
So he lays there in the ditch, unconscious and injured, but alive for several hours.
Christ.
Better than the alternative, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Engineer Esposito Senatore was not so lucky. He was found slumped in his chair with the throttle and reverser both at full forward.
Yeah, the amount of, the crew died or the crew passed or, one unconscious in a tunnel, significant in railroading history.
Yeah. In the second locomotive, a different scene played out, right? Matteo Giuliano threw the reverser backwards and passed out before he could reopen the throttle. I think this was, in the United States, you have a big lever. That's the reverser, right? Easy to throw it back real quick. This is Europe. I think they had a screw reverser.
Yep.
And you got to turn that a whole lot.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Screw reverse is great for running one direction. You have infinite positions it could be in because it's a screw, not individual notches. But changing directions is very hard. Very, very hard. And you have to really crank the thing. And it's not a simple, easy thing to crank either, depending on the size of the engine. And so what you've told us is the front engine was pointed one way and had its reverse pointed that way. And the rear engine had it the other way, like they were trying to bunch up the cars and trying to restart on the hill. And they were both fighting each other.
At this point, yeah. So at least one of the sources I looked at said, okay, if Giuliano had managed to reopen the throttle, the train probably would have started moving backwards. I mean, the front locomotive would have gone into an insane wheel slip scenario, which it probably did anyway. But
yeah, guy who is most concerned about the track at this point.
Depending, we're worried about the locomotives, not the 520 people. Yeah.
I mean, Allied Command might have been.
Details. It would probably be true. I doubt it would go to a wheel slip. It depends on. It probably stopped stuck centered, which is when one of the valves or one of the pistons is at dead center, which means you're only getting force out of one side. Steam engines usually only a 2-cylindered thing. And so when one of the cylinders is at one end, they're clocked 90 degrees opposite, such that one can be in the middle of its stroke while the other one is at either end. So typically you have both strokes of power. When one is at the end, you only have one. And that's almost always where they stop, because guess what? That's where the power output gets the least. Right. Which is why it was hilarious that you used the SNCF 4-cylinder engine as your piece of reference.
I didn't even think about that. God damn it.
But anyway. So she probably stopped dead center and said wide open throttle. It's putting all of the force on one piston. The other piston's getting bupkis.
Ah, damn.
Godspeed, it probably sat there and went, okay, I'm not going to move. Fuck you.
Yeah.
The fuck are you? Italian engine.
So. Well, both Matteo Giuliano and Rosaria Barbaro also passed out in the cab. Back on a freight train, no one knew anything was going on because nearly everyone was asleep.
I forgot it was at night.
Or wee in the morning. Yeah.
And the vast majority of them quickly became much more asleep.
Oh, God.
Small mercies, right?
I mean, of the ways to go. Yeah, but also, oh my God.
My grandfather died quietly in his sleep, along with his passengers, who also died quietly in their sleep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Roberto Masulo was the rear brakeman. This train had two braking systems on it. The cars at the front had air brakes, and the cars in the back had manual, hand brakes, right? So they needed a brakeman and, a van at the back, right? Now he saw the train stall. He waited a few minutes for it to restart or reverse back. Then after that didn't happen after a while, he decided to go up to the train, figure out what's going on. He got a few meters in the tunnel, realized how bad it was in there, and he got the fuck out.
Smart man.
Makes sense.
He ran all the way back to the Balvano station through the two smaller but still smoke-filled tunnels in pitch darkness.
Jesus.
Wow.
It took him nearly an hour.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Fucking
good for him. Here's the hero
harder
of the
core than a
story.
marathon. Yeah.
That guy didn't have to deal with smoke in the original marathon.
And he was running with good news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
When he got there, he exclaimed to the station master, "They're all dead in there, all dead," and then immediately collapsed.
Oh, so it is a marathon.
Yeah.
Valid.
You're doing this in like 1940s like railroad worker boots as well.
Yeah. And this is, it's a single track line. The closest place they can dispatch a rescue train from was Salerno, right? Which is all the way back at basically the start of the run. They telegraph back, get a rescue train up here. That train arrived very early in the morning, like 5:00. And they pulled the train out of the tunnel, shut the throttles, and took stock of the damages. They also managed to get Luigi Ronga out of the tunnel as well. He lived.
Jesus
Good Christ. His instinct to jump out the cab was a good one.
Turned out that was a good one, yeah. If you're on YouTube, you don't want to look at a whole bunch of dead bodies. Look away from the screen now. They're pretty low resolution.
They are low res dead bodies, but it is a large pile.
That's grim.
Yeah, the official figures are 517 dead and 90 injured from partial asphyxiation. We're never going to actually know the actual number of survivors, since quite a few of the stowaways fled the scene when the authorities showed up.
I'm amazed as many people survived as that's did.
Crazy.
The last 4 cars of the train were stopped outside of the tunnel. Yeah. The bodies were piled up beside the tracks for identification. Most were never identified and were buried in a mass grave in Balvano's cemetery.
I mean, it's wartime, like nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah.
This is one I've never heard of this one before. I've heard of a lot of railroad disasters, but they're typically more like, oh, the railroad did this and then the train died, or the train got hit by an avalanche or natural weather or whatever. But outside of wartime, this one being in wartime and being the way it is, this is one of the worst railway disasters in history.
Yes.
Obviously Italy's worst, but this is one of the worst. Like it's in the top, X amount.
Yeah, I mean, certainly probably the worst freight train disaster in history, because usually you don't have that many passengers on a freight train.
Right.
Yeah. The 2 engineers and the firemen were given funerals. Luigi Ronga actually lived to tell the tale and returned to railroad work.
Masochist.
Well, back in those days, it was all professions, like what are you going to do? Get another job?
Right.
One of the engineers was going out with a large sum of money from the Railway Drivers Collective in Naples to purchase a huge consignment of black olives for the return trip.
Oh boy.
And that was discovered by one of his colleagues during the identification of the bodies, and I believe he went out to go purchase all the black olives with that.
I mean,
So
that's
that
union
errand was
solidarity
completed.
is complete basic errand at all costs, but also crucially, do not like rob somebody who you find like a giant stack of banknotes on.
Yeah. So then we get to the blame game.
Sure.
Some people blame the station master, who didn't have the authority to stop the train, for not stopping the train. Some people blame the brakeman because he applied the brakes when it seemed appropriate to do so.
Two flawless pieces of logic.
I think I think even if the brakes were applied in the van at the end of the train, that would have not stopped it from moving backwards if they really needed to.
One car worth of handbrakes, you do real quick algebra, even including the multiplication of leverage.
Yeah.
One car worth of brakes does not get you a whole stalled train. The train was overloaded.
Yes. Lots of people blamed Allied Command for putting together this huge ass train and running it through the tunnel with bad coal.
Well, the huge ass train is Allied Command. The bad coal is also Allied Command, but in separate instances, right? Like it's not the same sort of thing. And you get bad coal, and who knows what the pressure gauge readings were.
Yeah, exactly. The investigation here was very brief and inconclusive. Allied Command actually ran some test trains through the tunnel with crews that had respirators on them, and found out that this coal that works fine in the big American locomotives isn't working in these smaller European locomotives.
Engines are designed for the kind of coal that they're designed for. Hence my earlier story of 491 and coal that's perfectly good BTU, plugging the entire fucking thing up.
Yep. But rather than get better coal, they slapped a weight limit on the line and banned double heading.
Wha-bam. Band-Aid. There she be.
Done.
Then they added a mandatory waiting period of 1 hour between trains to allow the smoke to clear out of the tunnel, sort of.
Did they at least employ a local to wave a fan at the tunnel during that hour?
No.
Wow.
I think they did station guards at each end for this purpose, though.
Good enough.
Yeah.
Well, they could wave
one small
rifles.
step to the primarily railroad cop-based economy.
Yeah. There were no... Oh, go ahead.
The other fun, solution to this is, why do mechanical engineers exist in this day and age? Mechanical engineering is so easy. Tunnels. They compute the amount of cubic feet per minute that must be evacuated from a tunnel. Like when I went to work in transit, everybody who is a mechanical engineer except me, because I was stupid and did signals instead, everybody was just figuring out, how do you get all of the air out of the tunnel as fast as you can? I
saw this movie Tenet about that.
Yeah, one little Italian boy with a paper, whatever. Not so much. There's a reason that there's jobs for that.
Oh God, I knew someone who was working in, I forget if it was on this podcast or not. They mentioned this anecdote, working in the ventilation tunnel for, I think, the Holland tunnel. And they asked while they were doing some inspection in there, what happens if there's a fire and the ventilation system kicks on? And the other guy was like, well, we die.
Yeah. Just say it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a reason there's this whole thing. It's a national thing that, hopefully continues to exist. Screams in agony vaguely at Washington, D.C. So, yeah. National Fire Prevention Act? What if it became the nothing? What if it was nothing?
The Nothing Protection
Nothing
Act, yes.
That one. There's nothing good that they do there. They don't try to prevent fires or, prevent people from dying this way with flames in a tunnel.
Fire. Have you considered that fire protection is woke?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yes. Sounds pretty gay to me. So we should probably ban it.
I mean, when you don't have it, you go to sleep. So yeah.
So who's it say?
Damn. Didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Hard to argue.
At any rate, there were no further accidents in the Army tunnel. Problem solved, everyone.
Hooray.
This situation remained until, diesel trains hit the line in the 1950s. They're able to up the tonnage then. Finally, real modernization arrived in 1994, and they put some fancy tilting electric trains on the line.
Are you saying that diesel trains are not modern? How dare you?
It was a 50-year interlude, and now thankfully it's over, and they have a real train on there.
Are real trains only trains with electric overhead wires?
Yeah, okay. I'm thinking about becoming I'm
being triggered by this.
Here is my argument. Diesel trains,
real trains, mental disorders.
Oh, that's even worse. All right, I follow the mental disorders camp. But anyway.
I'll call diesel trains modern when they build another one in the United States.
No, shots fired.
Well, I mean, they built most of them in the U.S., but
what was the last big order, like 2019 or something?
Yeah, the GE Evolution series has not been a while, and Caterpillar has been on the struggle bus trying to figure out Tier 4 emissions. So
we have no modern trains anymore. It's over. It's done.
Yeah, US was really good at making locomotives, and then all of a sudden they weren't.
Private equity happened. Yep. So, what did we learn?
Fans.
War is hell.
War is hell. You cannot find it.
If you say anything anti-steam engine, I'm blocking your podcast.
Don't ride on a freight train.
Yeah, don't ride on the freight train. Yes, the exhaust gases from choo-choos, whatever variety, are bad.
Just in a more human sense, you can be killed at any time by something of which you have no comprehension, like a bug in the gears of a complicated machine.
Yes.
And perhaps maybe have some more empathy for everyone that you know and everyone that you don't know. It's important. We're all humans. We're all living things, whether or not we're humans. We're all living things. We all care about each other, and maybe we should all respect that a little bit more.
And steam locomotives are bullshit.
Fuck you. Eat shit and die, you whiny bitch. We respect living things.
I love to defeat empathy.
We love living things, except for those whiny bitches that do not like steam locomotives. Who can eat shit and die?
Look, the clear answer here is that these Italians should have bought nice big steam locomotives for this, as opposed to whatever this is. Should have put a K-28 in there.
God,
K-28 was a wee bit smaller, but wee bit wider. Wouldn't fit through the tunnel. But
damn.
Well, that's fine. Easy solution. Like, it doesn't fit in the tunnel. Nobody dies in the tunnel. Just bounces harmlessly off the
K-28s instead. K-28s of the Grand Locomotives. One of the best designs. Alco had it figured out. They've got really nice suspension designs that I could talk about for way too long for this podcast. But anyway, they're fantastic. There's a reason they're called the sports models, and it is easy to suss out. So,
all right. Well, we have a segment on this podcast called Safety Third.
Shake hands for danger.
Dear November, Roz, Liam, and Gareth.
Nope.
No. If there is a guest, no, there isn't. Fuck you.
Hey, see, I don't even need to say anything. I don't even need to say anything because the person who wrote the Safety Third is on my side.
Yeah. May I say, first of all, rest in paradise, Milkshake. What a guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is a story about the one true enemy of solar workers. No, it's not roofers. I'm talking about the wind.
Ooh.
A few months into my solar installing life, I was working on an office building in the Northeast. It was the tallest building around, with no protection from wind gusts coming across a big body of water a few miles away. It was a flat membrane roof in February, covered in ice, with no lip on the roof edge between you and a 3-story drop into the parking lot below. There was one portable penetrator-style tie-off point and about 10 workers. I assume that's when there's like something you stick in the roof, and then that's where everyone ties the fall protection system onto.
I see. Okay,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I was thinking of something else.
Yeah. And about 10 workers. I'll let you guess how useful that was. When we started the job, the first task was to set up a guardrail system made out of 2x4s set in plastic bases and weighed down with sandbags.
Oh, that sounds safe as hell.
Yeah. In order to build this, you had to walk practically to the edge of the slippery roof, carrying lumber or 60-pound sandbags, then assemble all the pieces.
Getting killed assembling the guardrails is a great bit.
Yeah. Whenever we left the job for the day, the wind would blow the guardrails over, sometimes actually ripping out the screws and disassembling the pieces. To solve this problem, our foreman had us assemble and disassemble the guardrail every day when we arrived and left the job.
There's got to be an easier way to do that.
Yeah, it's called...
Fuck if I know what it is.
Have a fucking parapet on your building. Architects, put a parapet on your fucking building. People got to work on that roof. Again, think slippery roof and then add more solar racking underfoot every day as time goes on. One day we got up on a roof and quickly realized we were standing in the middle of 40-mile-an-hour gusts of wind and still had to build the fucking safety system.
Jesus.
A couple hours of back and forth with the foreman and a few absolutely fucking knots, and we were out of there. We left all our guardrail equipment strapped or weighed down in the middle of the roof as per usual before we left. Less than an hour later, I got a call from the foreman asking if I could come back and help him out. Me and another guy that were still nearby went back. It turned out that the guardrail posts and bases were blowing off the roof into the parking lots below, and it only barely missed a lot of parked cars.
Oh, good.
So we went up with more ratchet straps. That solves every problem, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sure
if it moves and it shouldn't, etc., etc.
So long as you say that shouldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Slap thing twice for extra power.
Mm-hmm. The wind had gotten worse. We literally had to crouch down to move around so the wind wouldn't blow us off the building. As we were praying and strapping everything behind an HVAC unit, our foreman told us we had to go help another job as soon as we were done. Now, when I say this next one was a doozy, my God. We went to a job that this company had finished almost a year prior. It was a new library with a nice modern architectural twist. The solar array on the roof extended over the edge of the roof and had then kicked upward into the direction of the wind.
Oh, I see that. Very stylish.
Yes. The solar panels were bolted through their aluminum frames onto rails running parallel to the face of the building. The uplift from the 50 to 60 mile an hour gusts was tearing the aluminum frames away from the bolts and had blown 2 or 3 of the solar panels over the top of the building and into the parking lot behind it, while the library was full of old folks for senior day.
Oh no.
Less stylish.
You may see in the photo there's a slightly lower section of the roof at the front of the building where the 2 planes of the solar array meet. That's down here.
Uh-huh.
Hold on. We got up on the roof through a hatch, crouched down onto that lower lip of the roof, moved down to the front left corner of the building where the panels were blowing away. And every time there was a big gust of wind, we ducked under the panels as if it would protect us from a 50-pound, 3.5 foot by 6 foot flying sheet of tempered glass and metal.
Yeah, horrible way to get killed, to just get fucking crash bandicooted by a giant solar panel.
Then my foreman proceeded with his plan, throwing the hook of our biggest ratchet strap into the wind to try and get it over the panels, then fishing it underneath the array with a makeshift crook made out of taped together plastic reflective stakes and some 6-gauge wire.
Jesus Christ. Okay, sure.
I watched him do this for about 15 minutes, all while the lips of the solar panels were bouncing in the wind. He was using the ratchet strap we used to tie down pallets on our flatbed, and the wind was blowing it right back at him. In a moment of frustration, I watched my coworker, who's not a small guy, try to climb out on top of the solar panels, hanging over the left of the building to try and help him out. That wasn't the loudest I'd ever yelled at someone in a workplace, but it was close. Eventually, I went to go get some longer, heavier ropes, and we got a couple of panels secure-ish and got the fuck out.
Jesus.
It was bad enough that the cishet 50-something building manager, thank you for your service to me. Am I allowed to say that word?
I'll read it. A commie dyke. Hell yeah.
Yeah. On my way out. We found out later that the engineer who signed off on the design hadn't looked at the prints that closely. Go figure.
Tracks.
You'll be shocked to know I don't do solar anymore, though I still miss it in a Stockholm Syndrome kind of way. Thanks for listening and putting together such a great show. And hey, if any of your listeners are lefty electricians, do yourself a favor and Google the Caucus of Rank and File Electrical Workers.
You can't read this one either. And cheers, quiz. And cheers to you.
Yes.
Brilliant.
This is why I stopped working on roofs too. I mean, you know,
don't get up on the roof. Never let them make you get up on the roof.
Don't get up on a roof. It's a bad idea. And again, design your buildings with. Give me some parapets. I like some parapets on a roof. You know, maybe 3 or 4 feet. One time I was in a building where it was like 12 feet. That was great.
Maybe design buildings to think about people who work on them as well as people who are gonna like live or work in them. You know.
Yes.
Maintenance.
Just a thought. Yeah.
What maintenance?
Maintenance.
What's that?
It's the thing that you have to do to make sure that the solar panel doesn't just randomly kill a senior in the parking lot.
That's when you hire an engineer to look at something and they write a report and then you throw it in a filing cabinet.
Yeah, I didn't think engineers.
And then it shows up
important,
photocopier burned to hell in an episode of Well, There's Your Problem 20 years later.
Which you're welcome.
I've got my own filing cabinet full of things where engineers were told to not. That should be an episode of this podcast. But I'm just going to appreciate being a guest and letting you know that engineers are important. Listen to them, dumbasses.
Good idea. Yes. I would also recommend that if they give you a report and say do something, you should probably do that.
Do that thing.
Yeah. Do that.
What did we learn?
War is hell.
Solar panels are hell.
Yeah.
Mallard is still the greatest steam locomotive ever devised by the hand
gay.
of man.
How dare you, Nova?
Gay and all cereal.
All right. That was Safety Third.
Shake hands with danger.
Our next episode will be on Chernobyl. Does anyone have any commercials before we go?
Christ on a bike. Sorry.
Yeah, the concept of Christ on a bike. The worst of all possible worlds.
Freakishly heavy Christ are...
He's so fat. He caused this thing to happen.
Trying to describe the Cristo Redentor above Rio de Janeiro in engineering terms. Oh God!
Excuse me, very fat Christ on a freakishly heavy bicycle. Yeah.
The notes say, "Don't forget to mention the worst of all possible worlds," which is a great podcast. Not sure.
Well, I was on it recently, but I copied this from the last podcast where I also mentioned I was on it.
Well, I guess they just get a free endorsement.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Listen to the worst of all possible worlds. Really is a good podcast.
Yeah.
Listen to No Gods, No Mayors. Also, Trash Eater, Kill James Bond.
Mark, I believe you should have several commercials.
Yeah. What's up, guys? This is Hyce. Please check me out on YouTube. Hyce, Hyce, and that is my YouTube. And yes, we do talk about trains. So if you want to learn more about train things, check me out on YouTube, Hyce, Hyce. Find the bluebird with the engineer's hat. That is me misspelling something for my entire existence. As well, Century of Steam, Studio 346. I'm the president of Studio 346. We're making a train video game bit by bit. It's going to take a little bit more time. It's not coming out this year, but hopefully maybe Shrugs next year. Hopefully Screams.
I heard every time someone asks you when you come out, when it's going to come out, you delay it by a week.
I'm trying to pull a page out of Gabe Newell's book, and that seems reasonable. The point of it is we love this. I know that my fellow friend Tom Coletti, aka Wings and Strings, the they, the them, the amazing, I have yet to meet a human who is as smart in every single possible, fastable way than the way Tom is. Tom is a part of the team, and they've been on the podcast before here.
Yes, multiple time guest.
And they were the reason why I am now here. Which very much appreciate you guys, including me. It's been fun to talk about trains. I like to talk too much, so you're going to have to edit a ton of me out. But you'll figure it out. You guys are professionals.
I am really excited for Century of Steam. I am also putting my full-throated endorsement on this project. You should, if you're listening to the podcast and you like trains, go get excited about this. I'm excited to finally see a devlog with polling. Give me that polling. Come on.
Okay. All right. We were literally talking about polling the other day.
And Nova can go to bed.
We have not talked about polling since the trailer. And we're like, do we show it? Do we save it for later? Like, we know it works. I will say that Justin said that, and maybe we'll get some traction. Either way, Studio 346 Century of Steam, we're talking about train things. We love it. We care about it so much. We're trying to give you all of the experiences sans the dying in a tunnel from the inhalation, but we're going to give you everything up to that point where you can feel every little piece of the locomotive along the way, and we really truly believe and love in it with all of our hearts, and that's the hill we will die on. So
yes,
please check it out.
It looks beautiful, which is my problem. It should be set somewhere horrible in Britain instead. Have you considered that maybe? Like some kind of like industrial sort of like hellscape? That'd be cool.
No, sorry, we're trying to have an escape from this fuck shit that is this universe that we live in right now.
But what if I like the misery?
Well, then you're fucked in the head, but thanks for having me.